Hello again, listeners, and welcome to the third episode of the TNT Tech and Transformation podcast. We did try and record this last week. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a mishap in the heat, and for health and safety reasons, we postponed for fear of Hamish's computer blowing up. But we're back on it today. And so I'd like to introduce you to our guest today, which is Hamish Blythe, who's the founder and CEO of Trello. Hamish started Trello back in November 2018, and forgive me if I'm wrong, Hamish, correct me if I'm wrong even, looking to launch in September this year. So today, it'd be really good to hear a little bit about the story leading up to Trello, a bit about your background, what the plans are for the business currently, and I guess, plans for the future. So I've done a bit of a brief intro there, Hamish. I probably haven't done you justice, so feel free to elaborate on that and give us a bit of an intro to you.
Yeah, no, so you're spot on. We're ramping up to launching our beta in about a month. Don't quite know where the year's gone. So we've been building this, first conceived of Trello back in November, way back in 2018, and been working on it and figuring it out as we've been going along. And so we're gearing up to launch Trello as a whole new way to pay, where we're using open banking, and the businesses, they get their money in a matter of minutes. They don't need to pay a single penny. We've scrapped transaction fees entirely and replaced it with a very simple subscription SaaS system. But then we've also got in a consumer side where me and you, we get a rewarded boost whenever we pay, whether that's 0.1% or 1% off your payments, or a free beer in a pub, or an upgrade if you're at a cafe. It's all really focusing on making that kind of experience really, really seamless. And yeah, it's quite a fun story from when we first came up with it. Been a long journey.
Thank you, man. And so how did the idea come about then initially?
So it first started from my while I was at university. I founded another business, Twigged, which was a mobile network where you could trade your spare data. And the whole idea behind that was that you'd be able to get your contracts for free if you were savvy enough and you traded it off between friends. That actually started from, have you seen the film Kingsman?
Yes.
So in that, Samuel L. Jackson launches this free mobile network to take over the world and make everyone kill each other. Now I kind of took that, I was like, okay, that's cool, leave out the killing bit, and kind of, okay, can we do this to make it free and so everyone can really just take control of that? Now while we were building that, we were using a certain card processor, I'm not going to mention any names, and we were losing about 68% of our margin with that, just to accept the money from our customers. I remember going out to all the shops in the local town, and speaking with other founders, and everyone was hit hard by those card fees. It also takes 7 days for that money to arrive. And it is just quite crazy how in today's world, when we all have these, which is more powerful than the computer that took us to the moon, do we still use these, which were invented before we even went there? And now these were amazing when they first came out, but unfortunately they have been built on legacy infrastructure for over half a century now. And because of that, you've got all these middlemen involved who are touching the funds, adding a bit of cost to it. And so back when I was rounding off Twigged, I went out to the US and was working with a startup on the West Coast out there. And in the first month, I had 2 fraud attempts on my card. Someone tried to nick it and use it. And it really made me realize, okay, there's something that we can do here to help businesses, but also make our lives much easier. We then got back to the UK in 2019, January, and stumbled across open banking. And realized that with open banking, you can make a way that businesses and consumers can just engage and connect so much better together. And because there are no other middlemen in there, there's no acquirers, there's no PSP, payment service providers, or gateways, or anyone else. you can give that business the ability to get their money in a few minutes, so they can put that money to grow to use and grow their business immediately. But as well as that, you can make it that there are no more transaction fees. That a business, they never need to spend a single penny of what they earn ever again. Because these businesses, they're the ones that have done the hard work. They're the ones that have done the graft. They've connected with those customers, and they've given that customer the best experience that they can imagine. And yet, whenever you get paid by card, you have to surrender 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4% to a processing company. And so instead, we're building Trello, and we're going to be launching our beta soon. And we've got rid of transaction fees entirely and replaced it with a very basic, very simple subscription, which instead of being gauged to the amount of transactions you do or the value of those transactions, it's gauged to how many Trello users and active users you have per month. And even better, we're working with our merchants to make it that they will be able to reduce that to the subscription and their tariff by onboarding their customers. So every one of their customers that they bring onto Trello, then they'll be able to get even more off. But while at the same time, one of the issues is that cards, these work so well for me and you. As a consumer, these are brilliant. I know it, I like it, I trust it, it's easy. And so you need to make our experience really easy, really enjoyable, and also having that reward every time. And so all of this stemmed from a mobile network way back in, started doing that in 2015, and God, it's now 2020. And yeah, so we're going to be launching our beta in September, targeting.
Yeah. You're like rapidly approaching. Are you on target to do that?
Speak with Toves. Yes, I'd like to say so. Tove and Johannes, let's see. Let's make sure they don't see this vlog. Yes, we are. That's what we're doing. Yes.
Shift the blame, yeah. And for our listeners who might not have heard of open banking before, how would you define that?
So I guess open banking, before open banking, when your bank and your money, that was a pot of gold in the Harry Potter bank. And only those goblins were able to go in and move that. And those goblins were the card schemes and other ones that, it sounds really bad actually. I'm not meaning to make them seem like goblins, but only your bank could control who went in and out and moved the money around. If your bank didn't want you to move money, then you couldn't.
Yeah.
However, open banking, that completely opens it up. And it makes that pot of gold your pot of gold that you can control who can do stuff with it, where it goes, and who can access it. And so, unlike before, where only the cards could get access to it, or through direct debit and standing orders, which were a whole extra world of interesting stuff. Now, with open banking and with Trello, you are the one that can control how you pay and what happens with your money. You've got some amazing platforms out there like Emma, Clio, Yolt, and other ones which help consolidate your kind of information and transactions, so you can get a really nice transaction history. And you're only just starting to have some payments platforms like us coming up to give consumers a much better, more comprehensive experience of when they're paying. And so it really just gives us much more control and ownership and power over our own money that we've worked hard to earn.
So taking it back a bit now, you've founded 2 businesses now.
Yeah, one of them was interesting. It didn't really go that well, but no, that was a beast of a whole. The mobile world is a very different world to the financial sphere.
You just make me feel very old. We founded Socium obviously last year. I was 32 and 31 actually. In my defence, 31 and 1 kid down at the time. So your entrepreneurialism is showing me up no end. It took me fast. Did you always know that you wanted to start your own business and that was the route that you were going to take?
Yeah. So I love tech. I've been a gamer my whole life, and I just love getting things and playing and seeing what you can do. I was also fortunate enough that my dad, he founded a company when he was at university. So it's kind of, I've always had that thing there of okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can beat him and kind of really get it going.
Yeah.
So I guess a nice thing for me is in with Dad, it was kind of it wasn't the normal thing to do, but it was much more normal to go and do that then, or I guess the majority, like the normal way. And yeah, I've always kind of looked over at the US and at some of the incredible ones that's happened here. I remember when I first read about TransferWise, I was just kind of like, I was just astounded as to what they were doing. They did the most amazing campaign once, where I'm not sure if you've seen it, the Toxic Fees campaign, where they went around in hazmat suits, which you probably couldn't do at the moment. If you went around in hazmat suits, people probably get terrified right now. But they went around in hazmat suits and they did this incredible marketing campaign that you've never ever seen before from any company. And I saw that, and with what Target was doing and everything, and it just looked so incredible. And that was really when I realised, okay, there's something you can do here. There is that opportunity in the UK and Europe and just elsewhere. And especially now we're positioned that we can. There has not been a time like this for decades, for over half a century, that you've been able to go in and change an industry that is so set in its ways that they just have not comprehended the ability to do anything else. And yeah, I mean, it's always been there, and there's just a lot of fun to be had, but a hell of a lot of working. I think one thing that one thing that I would say is I kind of wish I hadn't gone to university and I had gone straight into a startup and just learn the graft from the get-go. Because doing that and building out that network, when you're actually in a startup and speaking with the founder, speaking with the investors, speaking with other businesses, clients, customers, and that's so powerful. I think that would be, if there was one thing that I have learned so far, it would have been, I'm not going to say the word, but university, and go straight into kind of the startup sphere.
Well, hopefully there's obviously a bit of a contentious issue at the moment at university and right now. So if there's anyone out there listening who's on the fence about whether they should go or not, whether their grades will get them in, there's a good bit of advice there for budding entrepreneurs for sure.
And I think startups and founders, they're always happy to have a chat with people who are eager and keen and want to do something different. Because if someone's kind of 18, 19, and they come to you and they're interested, then it shows they've actually got a real bit of difference to the norm. And they're the type of people who, if you can give your time to and work with, then there could be something incredible there.
You mentioned there about TransferWise, and obviously they've made great strides in disrupting the industry. Is that, I guess, do you look at those guys as the ultimate role model? And if not, are there other companies you pride yourself on, looking to replicate within the industry? Yeah,
so I say in the UK fintech sphere, I love TransferWise, they've done very cool. They were kind of one of the first ones out there, and then you've obviously got the standard bunch of kind of fintech challenges. I mean, Chad over at Revolut, they've done some absolutely incredible things with their world. I mean, they've got their messaging and the way that the consumers interact with it on point, and it works perfectly. I think my pure idols would be kind of the PayPal guys, and then moving over to kind of the Stripe guys. I think the Stripe team, they've done very well, and they're one of the things that we always kind of strive to with Trillo is, okay, so Stripe, they managed to do an incredible thing, and they got their integration for businesses to integrate it into their platform really easy with that 9 lines of code. And we go like, okay, well, what can we do? How can we make that better? And so it's really kind of focusing on achieving and beating those, and giving our businesses, our merchant partners and our consumers an even more fulfilling and rewarding side. So for the merchants, we've got that SDK integration down to about 3 lines, possibly 4. We're just tweaking that, and so really making that easy. And then it's for that consumer side to be smooth as well. And I think on that consumer side, that's where we've got PayPal, who were the first kind of gatekeepers into that online secure payment method, still using card, but they made it very nice and easy. And so it's kind of learning from them and iterating and achieving, melding what you can see from other startups and businesses here in the UK over in the US to try and give both merchants and consumers as smooth and as enjoyable a journey as possible.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, earlier on about tapping into other founders' knowledge and being able to build your network out. Is that something that you've done? You mentioned a number of companies there. Is that something that you've done when bringing the idea to Trillo to life?
Yeah, so there was a lot of time. Luckily, because I had done a bit of time with Twig before, I knew a few people there, and then it was building off of that to connect with more further afield. I think that's where the difference comes from if you've worked in a startup previously, whether it's that's an intern or whether it's an early employee or something, and you get to know that sphere, and then you can build on. There's a team that I know, the guys at Otter. They all came from. I don't want to say it wrong. I think it was Habito. They came from one of the. They came from a fintech platform, and they have a really nice, good network there. And I think that's where if I had been able to do that and kind of go through that network, that would have been so good. I mean, there's been a lot of kind of graft and endless emails and endless kind of calls to try and get coffees and stuff, and it works eventually. But for the start of it can take a while. The start of it can take a real while.
So I know a lot of people would love to hear about the challenges that you've had so far and along the journey to hopefully the eventual release next month. What has been the biggest challenge for you guys?
I'd say the biggest challenge initially. So we started this without. So I started this without a technical co-founder or person there, and I knew a few people who were kind of helping and working. And when Tobes came on board, that was such a massive. That just helped so much, because first there was someone there who you could kind of chat with and really kind of play things off of.
Yeah.
But also having someone who could take all the technical side and the platform under his wing and build that himself. That was so powerful and so useful. I think and now we're currently going through recruitment. We may have found someone, and actually, I mean, you were giving some good bits of advice on that as well. And that was recruitment's a world of fun. And then I think you've got the standard thing with founders and startups is getting that first bit of funding in. Is tough. So last year I was house sitting for the whole year, kind of bouncing around. I managed to get an incredible family. They let me house at their place that they've now torn down and rebuilding. It's going to look amazing when it's finished. And I think last year I was living off about £4 a day, and that was interesting time. I finished
a house outside of London, if that was your budget.
Well, no. So luckily, I mean, the place was an interesting place to live, and so it was. I was housing, so I was fortunate enough to get that. And then I managed to. I think I finished the year with about £100 in the bank account. So it was very fine-tuned. I think the investors who we got on board were brilliant, and they're so powerful. Getting one so you can just kind of get on the phone to, that's always so helpful. So. Yeah, I'd say kind of building that team and working on the story and connections to get that first bit of funding. That's the really tough bit.
And obviously, it's quite a challenging climate at the moment to bring on investment. What were you looking for in an investor? Because founders are always looking for different things. Was it just the financial benefits? Were you looking for someone to come in there and add, I guess, a layer of mentorship and advice? What was it you were looking for?
So I mean, a smart investor is always so much more powerful than a not smart investor. Having someone one of our investors, he led payments at one of the big tech companies, and he's had a lot of experience there, a lot of knowledge. Then there are a couple who have businesses, other portfolio companies who we can work with and really kind of build off that, so we can learn from that payments experience, but also learn more from that business and merchant side. And so it's really about finding people out there who have knowledge and experience that you can learn from and build out from. Then you also got one of our investors. He's got the most incredible network. You just need to give him a buzz, and he will almost certainly know that person or know someone who knows someone. As having kind of that meld of knowledge and network there just makes it's so helpful, and that's something for we've put our current round on pause. So when we kick that back off after we launch, we'll be we're in talks with a few investors, and having those ones there that have that experience and that network there that we can plug into and help their portfolio and move forward. That's the real key bit.
It's obviously been a pretty challenging time over the past few months for a lot of businesses, let alone companies that are looking to launch their business for the first time. What impact has the pandemic had on you guys and your plans?
I think we've been quite lucky because we've always known that this period would be building, and we were already working remote when it started. So it's been quite standard. Now that we're able to start doing more things, having people in the office and having a few more meetings, that's been so nice. And kind of beginning to see the team again, that has really been able to improve everything. I think we've been quite fortunate in this side. I think there are some kind of merchants that we're working with and we're speaking with. A few of them have been hit hard, and luckily, quite a few of them are starting to now kind of come back. And I think now that we've kind of got through this bit, hopefully everything else is going to start building back up as we go. So I think it's been 2020. You never know what's around the corner. It's an interesting year.
Surely it can only get better, or fingers crossed.
Well, I think we've had the worst bit of the decade. So the next 9 years should be kind of all that, hopefully.
Yeah, rode the wave. Is this the new office now that you're in?
It is a massive office. I mean, it is absolutely vast. It's just incredible. Yeah.
Because for anyone that doesn't follow you, I noticed you had a bit of a hiccup with an office move earlier last week. Was that right?
Yeah, last week we were
video on LinkedIn. I was watching. It was quite
2 weeks ago. We went to pick up some office furniture from another startup who had moved out, and the van company, their car went wrong and our stuff got locked in it. The van then came back just here, so we could get the stuff out of the van, open up the back doors, and it's all missing. So if anyone watching this sees any chairs looking loaded on the street, they may be ours. So fire us over a message, because we'd love to get those chairs back, and a bookshelf and a cupboard. But they're somewhere in London, somewhere, not sure where.
If you're not sweating enough in 35-degree heat, running around London trying to find your lost property probably doesn't help matters, does it?
Not the best.
So you mentioned obviously now you're back in the new office. What's the current state of the team, and what are the plans moving forwards?
Yeah, so we've got some absolutely great guys on the team. We've got Tobin, who I mentioned before. He's our CTO, and then he's got Johannes, who's working alongside him on the engineering side. And then we were lucky enough quite early on to find Usman, who is our head of compliance and legal. And so he came to us he was originally at Revolut, then he was at Oval Money, and so he's bringing with him a lot of kind of expertise and knowledge around this area. And then we've got a few other awesome people helping us on the wing. So we've got Hannah, who's helping us out on comms, and she's really kind of leading that direction there, as well as Sam, who's helping us on the growth side. But currently, as mentioned, we're building out the team, so we're hiring another engineer, which, fingers crossed, we might have found one. However, as seems to be the case with this, you always at this stage you get there, and then there's something, and then it kind of restarts. And so we're now kind of gearing up for launch. Once we've launched and we've kind of done that next period of growth and kind of funding and everything, we'll then look to kind of build that team further. But we've also got a rather incredible bunch of people helping us on the advisory side. So I've got Freddie, who's with Cover, Ollie, who is one of the partners over at Antler, as well as Simonetta, she was with Tesco's, and so she's got a lot of experience on that retail side, as well as Mike and Jonathan, who know a heck of a lot on the payments. Well, I mean, Jonathan is, the brain on him is absolutely incredible, and yeah, it's been very nice kind of being able to start catching up with people in person.
Sounds like you're surrounding yourself with some good minds by the sound of it, for sure.
It's one of those ones. I mean, I'm nowhere near the best at anything, and so you need to get people around you who are 10 times better, so that you can do, I don't know, as cheesy as it sounds, like 1,000 times better, because they're something that is quite key is kind of realizing, okay, I love doing. I mean, we're currently kind of rebuilding some of the products, and I love doing the graphic design and everything, but I'm nowhere near the best there. And so it's getting people in who are really good there, and same on the engineering side and on the sales side. And it's really kind of building out that good base around us so that we can really form something awesome.
I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing something pretty different to what's already been done in the payment space in London. Obviously, it's very competitive. What do you guys do, I guess, to sort of differentiate yourself from all the other payments businesses, startups sprouting out all over town?
So I think that's where we're really kind of focusing on two sides. Well, one that leads into a bunch actually. It's that we're really focusing on you, everyone watching this, and me, on consumers, giving us a really simple, easy, and rewarding and enjoyable experience whenever we pay, so that you sign up once at any Trillo merchant, at any Trillo shop or business, and then you can pay at all of them in seconds. Like, you don't need to connect your bank and create accounts at every single one. Keeping that really smooth journey, because that's how it's me and you. We're the ones that decide how we pay. It's very good having those businesses there who can accept it, but if we don't want to do it, then that doesn't help. And then with that consumer side, we've also we kind of accidentally built the capabilities to do offline payments. We didn't mean to, but we did it, and we realized, hang on, that actually works. And so we can also, once you've signed up to Trillo, you can go and you can help the business by paying with Trillo, the cafe around the corner even. And so it's kind of setting up that platform and that network that has both that merchant side and the consumer side. So that firstly, those consumers, they can help all those businesses that are on the network, but also that those merchants can help the consumers by having that consumer protection in there, and refunds and all these extra bits that cards have as standard, but open banking in its pure form simply doesn't have. And so by having this network here and the ecosystem where everyone's helping each other, we can then really build that to build something that works for all and makes it as clean as can be.
Nice. And I guess sort of fast forward that, you still, I guess, at the very much the early stages for the business. Where do you want it to be, say 3, 5, 10 years time? What's the plan?
10 years on the moon. We'll be the first ones processing payments for Mars. We'll be the first ones processing payments in the new cafe on Mars with Musk. That is, if we can get there, that's the target. But a bit short than that. So I mean, one of the beautiful things about open banking and PSD2 is that we can launch it here in the UK, and we can move out to Europe and really kind of build that as we go. In Europe and the EU, the regulation PSD2 is pretty much the same. So we can move out there and expand as we go. And then you've got some other incredible initiatives in countries all over the world starting to embrace open banking and build it out. So we'll look to kind of get it launched here in the UK, move into Europe, and then as they open up and build into that payment side, we'll be moving out there to really help and expand and connect with as many merchants and consumers as we can.
Nice, mate. Worldwide domination.
Worldwide helping everyone. That's the target.
I guess I know some of our listeners, if I look at the breakdown of who's listened so far, it has been predominantly founders, CTOs, heads of technology. So what advice have you learned throughout this process that you could pass on to other people looking to start up their own business?
I think something that we are trying to do, but it's quite tricky for us because we are payments and pure financial and regulated, is if you want to launch as early as you can. If you launch with something that you think you're happy with, you've waited too long. You need to launch early so you can learn and speak with customers and keep iterating and move. Something that we're doing, we're launching, this feature that we're launching, that is the bare minimum that we can launch with. And so that is the pure API and the SDK, so that we can kind of plug in and get moving. And that's so that we've been speaking with some incredible businesses and consumers. But once you have, once if someone's building something, if so, for a friend of mine, he's building a very cool kind of outdoors activities training and learning platform, and he's going to be launching it, I think, at the end of this month. And so for him, it's kind of really launching and moving forward as fast as you can, so you can start getting that feedback. Because the second that you start speaking with customers and the second that they start buying from you or using your system, you'll learn something that you never would have noticed before. And so it's getting it into your customers' hands as soon as you can, so that you can iterate and start building the way that they want it to be. Because the business should always be how your customers want it to be. The business should never be how you want it to be. It should always be what your customers want. What customers need. Either what they want or what they need, I'm not sure. But yeah.
Perfect. Well, look, Hamish, I know you're a very busy man, mate, so I won't keep you too much longer. But thank you for coming on. We do appreciate it. Glad to hear you're in the office finally, and the temperature's cooled down a bit. Laptop's okay. It sounds like the business is in a great place, and I wish you the best of luck with it, mate. It sounds like you guys are on the case. Good luck with the launch, and I look forward to hearing how it all goes.
And and also Ross, if you haven't yet, go and sign up to the early bird program. I had to get a plug in there. Come on, I had to do that.
No shame. That goes for anyone else that's listening as well. There you go. You heard it here.
Yeah. Well, no, it was great chat with you, Ross, and it'll be good.
All right. Thanks a lot, mate.
All right. See you.